Waiting for everybody to get in, get in. Just giving this some time. So, peace, y'all. Barghani Islam, Salam, Etepu, Rahubat, Gino Lakuminani, Chief Noble Bandele Amin back again for another video. Today's video, I am going to have a special guest. And hopefully this special guest will be on more times than not. We're going to have a master elder on tonight to discuss the plight of melanated people, the wake-up call for melanated people, okay? Excuse me, y'all. But before we get into that, let's check out, I'm just going to show, check out the website, the Moorish Washita Indigenous website. It is indigenousservices.webs.com. It is the one-stop shop for your indigenous needs. On here, I always tell people go to links, and it's a plethora of information to be used for your legal needs, or if you're trying to learn historic stuff, everything's there, okay? Also, Peace Queen. Also, okay. Um, I'm not sure. I'm trying to get the brother, trying to get our master elder on. If you saying what you get, the problem is. Okay. You I'm not sure, Elder, what how you get on, but I just sent the link to you. Do you have a Gmail account I can send it to? Maybe you can click on it that way.
Just send it by a text or email.
You have a Gmail account?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to send it to you that way.
I just sent it before.
You can text it to me real quick. My computer, it just takes a little time. I'm going to Gmail now, but
Sure.
y'all have to bear with us, man. We like trying to do this, and sometimes it gets a little technical. So if you're joining us, just stay tuned. Okay, what's your account? What's your email?
Yeah. I just sent it to you by text.
Yeah, just send it to me by text, and I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you, and I'm gonna get back on the air because I'm on live. So.
And disregard the first text that'll reference my Gmail address. That's incorrect. I'll send it to you now correctly.
Okay. All right, bro. All right, Mo. All right, y'all. I'm about to try to get my elder back on. We was having a little technical difficulties. I thought that we had everything under control, but of course, this is his first time using this platform, and he may not have gotten the total instructions for it. So we're gonna send it another way. We're gonna try to send it another way. All right, let's see. We're gonna do S.FANDERS dot 1946 at gmail.com. All right, so now we're gonna send this back out, and I am about to get back into this message, man. Okay, so let's get into this, man. Basically, just to give introduction, yo, I see you, my boy 8.0. We trying to get it in. I see you was on there and you got off, but basically today's show, we want to have a range of thought. The Master Elder Khensu Ammun El, he is a brother that I have known for many, many years. And he is, I consider him a master elder, okay? And the reason why I consider him a master elder is because he lives the life of an upright man. But the fact that he is very knowledgeable in an array of different melanated, what you call Afrocentric, melanated, conscious, metaphysical. He is very versed in a lot of those things. And I don't think I know anybody else that has as many books as he does. So I've been trying to get him on the platform for a while, And due to my own technical difficulties, it's been a challenge. But hopefully today we will be able to do that. If not, I will do a short show, but I will try to get him back on here because it's important. First of all, it's important for our elders to be able to pass on the information and the knowledge that they have. In this society, a lot of times we look at older people or the elders as a nuisance or somebody who we got to take care of. But in indigenous culture and societies, the elder is one of the most valuable people in the community, in the society. And so because of that, I have sat with him for hours and hours. I mean, he is probably one of the people that I have to say has shaped my thoughts and has opened my mind onto many of things. Okay. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully he'll be on here. But if not, we're going to have to still get into it. Just a little bit more on the brother Khensu. I met the brother Khensu when back in the early 2000s when he had a study class. He used to have study classes with him and another elder. They used to have study class every, I think, Wednesday night or whatnot, but it'd be 2-3 hour classes, and they would go in on a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of the stuff that so-called conscious people and everybody on TikTok doing now, talking about a lot of the stuff that they're talking about now, they was talking about 20 years ago. Okay, like I said, the brother got a plethora of books. I think he's probably, I'm gonna say he's got the biggest library that I've seen of anybody who is alive today. Okay, now I do know some elders who he knows as well that have passed on that had even larger libraries than him. Okay, and unfortunately, they've passed on. But because this elder is still around, and I even to this day I go over and I talk with him. So it's important. And a lot, I mean, like I said, he's taught me a lot of subjects. Sometimes we don't always agree, which is, common. But one thing is for sure is that I do learn, and I have learned from this man for a long time. Okay. And one of the subjects that we get into is genocide. Now, we're not necessarily going to talk about genocide today, but he is convinced, and I have to agree with a lot of what he says, but he is convinced that they are still continuing genocide on us today, which, a lot of people say, yeah, but, he does have the evidence and the books, So, hopefully, like I said, when he get back on, though, what we're going to discuss today is the wake-up call. What is the wake-up call? Why are so many melanated people waking up? A lot of it got to do with the time. It's not just the time, but I mean, like the energy. Like we're in the age of Aquarius, the information age, so a lot of people are waking up. Okay. However, for me, the wake-up call, because I think that they have been aware of the wake-up call, the system itself had prepared for the wake-up call. And so it is trying to guide our awakening to a certain level. Okay, so what I mean by that, I mean, like, there's a lot of disinformation out here. And for people who are waking up, they pretty much keep on doing it. Yeah, like you said, 8.0. I hear you. You still on the job. Oh, okay. I got you, man. That's peace to you, man, being able to watch it on the job. But basically, the fact that the system was aware that there was going to be an awakening. It's just like, we knew that there was going to be an awakening. My elders, the ones that I even the elder now, he understood that there was going to be an awakening. They were kind of like on the cusp or the beginning of the awakening. I'm going to say, like, the awakening process has probably been going on for the past 100 years, right? When we go back to like Noble Drew Ali, we go back to Martin Delaney, and all these different people. Yeah, I know. Peace, God. I know Brother Jamil. Brother Jamil is in the building, in the house, in the chat. Peace to you, God. Y'all know Brother Jamil from a lot of the videos we've done. What basically what I'm saying is that the awakening has been coming for the past 100 years. We've been going into this age of Aquarius. We were on the cusp of the Aquarius, and that information has started to come out and spread out. And so now we're in, some people argue if we're on the cusp or not, but basically, essentially, we're in Aquarius now. Okay. And so you can now you're really starting to see an awakening. But because the system is doing what it does, it understands that this knowledge had to be controlled, if you will. And the people had to be controlled. And one way to control people is to confuse them. With the confusion that's going on amongst us as a people, even though we got more knowledge, we're still confused. And because of that confusion, we have been able to fall for anything. So a lot of my brothers, look, I'm gonna say this. I feel like I woke up and became aware in the early to mid 90s. So it's been a good 25 going on 30 years that I feel like I have been on a path of understanding. Okay. So now that I'm seeing all these people on TikTok and all other type of stuff, I feel like they're learning this information and knowledge with this twist on it. Meaning, like, the internet has taken over and is guaranteed. It's just putting a lot of information out here. So what I mean by that, we got people over here who say it's a flat earth. Okay. So now we got an argument. So now you being conscious, you're saying, oh, well, we're all into this intellectual masturbation, if you call it, what we used to call it. Now you're like, well, the flat earth, and you guys, if you're woke, you know about this. So being woke is like who can get more information. Like, it's like a junkie learning this information. And so I can remember in my early years, I read a lot of stuff that I think I read a lot of stuff that I believe because I read it and I hadn't heard it before. Okay. So, hey, peace, y'all. More, man, we ain't even getting into that, man. I mean, like I said, y'all can believe what y'all want to, right? But my whole thing is this, that it's a lot of information being spread out here. That's the point of it. There's a lot of information being spread out here. And the problem is it's causing us to split apart. So we got the flat earthers over here, and then we got the other people over here, the people who believe there's something else going on. We got people over here who say that we all indigenous and we're all black, and we came from America and there was no slaves. You got people saying that as well. Okay. And that's going against, I'm not going to say going against, but it's like that is causing confusion against the other people. Plus, we got religions, which has always been there. So, we got the Hebrew Israelite community telling us one thing, then we got the Moors telling us one thing, and then we got the Afrocentric telling us one thing. We got all this confusion, but we got all this information, and we have the ability now to put it all out here. So think about this. When we are bombarding our brains with all this information, right? It will cause us to cause confusion. It causes conflict. We're arguing amongst the conscious community, and I'm not even talking about like when we're arguing with people who are not conscious. You got your family members who think you're crazy or whatnot, but I ain't even talking about those. I'm talking about the conscious community. Okay. My family is in stone, gold, and burial mounds all over the world. And that is true, my brother. I mean, we are melanated people who are all over the world. And that is the wake-up call. The wake-up call is for all of the melanated people from around the planet to start to wake up and resist and fight back. The thing is, we look at it in one way when it really is another way. For example, we look at our brothers as, like I'm calling them now, brothers and sisters in, like, let's say Malaysia or anywhere around the world. We look at them as our brothers and sisters, which in some sense they are. But each group of people looking at themselves individually, like they're Malaysian and they look at themselves as Malaysian. They don't necessarily say that they are American. And they look at us, they'll say, oh, okay, well, you guys are American, but I'm from Malaysia, or I'm from Africa. And even within Africa, each country or tribes kind of are to themselves. They're distinctly saying, I'm this tribe, I'm that tribe. They don't look at themselves as we're all globally one people. Now, I'm not saying that that's not got truth to it, but I think it's the way that we tend to look at things in this country is from a Pan-Africanist view, or where we think that anybody who's got dark skin, we're all the same. And really it's not. So really, we're in a time now where everybody's starting to learn and pick up information. And the main thing is, as we are waking up, what are we waking up to? What kind of information are we really waking up to? Because it's crucial for us to wake up and be prepared to do the work that we are doing, the work that needs to be done. As we see around us, the European, the Caucasoid, whatever you want to call it, those people are starting to have a decline. Okay, we're in a decline. The Albion is in a decline, and as it starts to decline, that is allowing other people of melanated hue to be able to step up to the plate. And so the thing is, are we going to step up to the plate with on the same accord or close to being on the same accord, or are we going to be arguing about, we got, like I said, we got the disagreement with I'm an indigenous American and that no Africans ever came over here in slavery. I mean, they're saying like, I mean, it's like they're rewriting some things and not really, and not a lot of a basis for a lot of the stuff they say. It's not a lot of scientific research. A lot of them will discredit science and we can't use science. They'll do these things or whatnot to discard what we do have as evidence or whatever. And we're divided. Like if like, for example, in America, there were indigenous people that were dark-skinned people here. We know that. We know that. But was there Africans that were brought here as well through slavery from European enslavement? Yeah, it was. They try to say it was no enslavement, that there was no Africans brought over here. They want everybody who was dark-skinned to been over here, already have been over here. And they don't want any of the Africans to do that. Now, there is some truth to that, right? But it is not, it's like we're taking away one thing for another. Okay. And it's like most of these people who are coming into this knowledge, they ain't even been in the knowledge that long. I mean, I'm just saying, like, a lot of people who've been into the knowledge may have been into the knowledge like 5. If you ain't been in, if you haven't been studying for some few years, it's gonna take you some time. It's gonna take you some time for you to understand all this, because what happens is, it's like the first things that you learn new, you believe it. You believe it. It like what we call spank your ear, and then it's like, oh, that makes sense, and then we believe it. We may not even do no research. A lot of us don't do research anyway. I mean, we come out of that church mind state that, you know, we just believe whatever they're saying, right? So let me see what sister's saying. She said, I believe the division with the science comes from the many lies that have been told. I mean, there has been lies that have been told with science. I can't deny that. I mean, there's been lies been told, and I know that's why we are weary of these things. But at the same time, as we are waking up, when you first wake up, you may see things that appear to be one way, and then as you begin to understand it, it becomes something else. I have done that myself. Like I said, as long as I've been studying, there were things that I thought that might have been true that weren't exactly what I thought they were. So, like, for example, like I kind of came into the Afrocentric community back in the day. And when I came in that community, everything was black. Okay. And, we were, like, for example, the library Alexander, like we always talk about the libraries in Egypt, right? I ain't saying that there wasn't no libraries in Egypt, or I'm not saying that we can't read or write, but was there a great library in Egypt prior to Alexander? Because a lot of times what the African scholars were saying was, oh, we had this great library and then they burned it down. Well, I mean, that's true. After Alexander, so we talking about in Greek time, there was a library that was built up. They had built this library up. One of the biggest libraries. Now, I'm not saying there wasn't a library already there and they expounded on that, or that they expounded on something that was already there in Kemet. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the library is what it is. And it was done after Alexander. And it was a brick library. But the Christians burned it down, or somebody burned it down later on. And then when you get to talking about it, it was like, oh, we had this great library in Egypt. Well, I mean, that's right in a sense, but it's kind of the way it's taught is not, it's more for like Black pride, or, to give us esteem. A lot of times what I have noticed is that, here we go. Alexander the Great is, let me put you on the screen. We about to get into it. Alexander the Great is from my fam. We are also from the 18th dynasty during the Exodus. I can date past what you were saying. Okay, what I'm saying is this. that what you're saying is not even what I'm talking about, right, my brother? What I am saying is that library that we call that great library was built really in Greek time. And if it wasn't, then substantiate the claim. Because we like to do a lot of yapping without any proof of it. I mean, like, show me cross-referencing. And this is what I'm saying in the wake-up call. When we waking up, we got to do the work and the research and the understanding. We can't just jump on the bandwagon and say, it's like we didn't take the word of the Christians when they told us that Christianity was this and that. We went and started doing some research. We found out blah, 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 right? So, but then we get into the next level of knowledge and understanding as we wake up. Sometimes I think we get complacent in our study and research. We say, this sounds good. This is true, right? Let me see. This is good. This is good, y'all. And look, this is not to get on anybody or like dog down. We just talking, right? Because I love all my brothers, especially my Moorish kin. We Moorish kin, right? So it ain't no beef with us at all. This question is, wasn't it where Socrates and Aristotle studied? Didn't they study under the oracles? Of course they studied under the oracles. The Greeks got their information and knowledge from the Egyptians or the Kemetic people. They studied with them. They wouldn't have pretty much known. They would have known a lot of what they know if they hadn't studied under that. I mean, we can look at stolen legacy. We can look at stolen legacy and see that. Okay. The Greeks, a lot of what they did was built off of what they learned from Egypt, Kemet, Persia, all these different civilizations. You know, Persia was a great nation as well. Okay, so yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm with you on that. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says it was our stuff, and we left and came back as the Greeks. Well, we came. I don't know if we came back as the Greeks. I mean, like, I definitely believe the Greeks had a connection to Africa, predominantly North Africa. Kemet, they're studying with Kemet, you know, what you call Libya today, all those areas, even over there in Northwest where we got Morocco today. I mean, you know, all that's it's Africa. They came into contact with them. They have a mix. I wouldn't think that the Greeks were like pure white, like, you know, Scandinavian looking, but they definitely were, you know, a different group of people. And a lot of Africans were there in the region as well. So I'm not saying that, but for us to say that we are Greeks in a sense, I mean, there's some relation to us. There's some relation to Greek, but I wouldn't. And see, that's what I'm saying. It's like we kind of claiming the Greeks as Africans, as full-blooded African, and I haven't. Please show me the reference, like show me where I can go for that information. That's basically all I can say on that. Show me the information that where they come from. It says, let me get to this one. It said, did the Greek basically worship the African women? Of course they did. I mean, like when you think about the first temples, they go the temples of Set or the temples of Isis, which was the African deity Set. So yes, I think that they did in that sense. Okay. When you look at, like, I did a video on Medusa. When you look at Medusa was an African deity, right? And they adopted that deity. I don't think the Greeks worshiped the African woman as much. Like they definitely had a credence and appreciation for them, but I think their worship, due to the way that they were living and practicing, it didn't allow them the full benefit of the women worship, like we did, like how we look at African or melanated people, how we looked at our African women. I don't think that the Greek in their culture looked at the women in the same regard, but they definitely, the deities that they had as women were of black origin. When I mean black, I mean melanated or dark skin. I'm not speaking of black as a color, because we know that black is not a color. I could tell all the history by blood. So like when you say blood, are you meaning blood as in DNA, or are you saying that you're able to trace yourself back to ancient times? Because I know that's been a difficult thing to do, is for us to trace our bloodline, because one of the things that they did was cut off our bloodline. They cut us off. They cut us off. Basically, anything past what 18? I mean, 16, 19. Anything basically here in America. And when I mean America, I mean the United States is for that. You know what I'm saying? It's anything in 16, 19 in America. That's what they consider any black. Black history. They cut us off from our Moorish history and all that, right? And so that's kind of, that's why I say I feel like it's kind of difficult for us to be able to say, hey, we can go back, we can trace our bloodline. But let me see. Okay, brother, let me see. We started out, what do you say? We started the pharaoh title at Amos first. Then we, during Akhenaten, aka Moses, and went to those areas and came back to 1,000 years equal. Okay, now I'm gonna say like this, and this is what I mean, y'all. Like, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but there's a lot of pseudo science going on out here in these streets, right? What I mean by pseudoscientists, I used to study with the pseudoscientists. There's a lot of things that people say that sound good, but at this point in my life, I have to try to substantiate it. I have to see, where is this coming from? Like what? Like show me. Like if you got any books, my brother, what you call yourself, Sebrum, like brother Percy, aka Moorman. If you got any books, please like drop them in the comment section, so that we can have something to look at in the comment section to make reference to these things. Because you say Akhenaten was Moses, and basically, what'd you say, Amos? Which Amos? They say Amos is supposed to be Moses, because the word Moses, Amos, Moshe. I've heard Moshe. These type of things. Akhenaten and Moses. I don't think Akhenaten was Moses. I mean, like, the reason why I say that is because Akhenaten, he was a pharaoh. And for y'all who don't know, Akhenaten was a pharaoh who basically, took and made the monotheistic version of God with Aten or Aton, he changed the religious system in Kemet. And eventually, like his son, Tutankhamun was his son. He eventually changed it back to the old system. Okay. So, okay, we got let's say what this brother got to say right here. My brother, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Shakat Azam, it says you guys don't read the Quran. Now I have, and I do read the Quran as well. I like to look at the various religious texts. I like to study religious texts. I don't necessarily follow the tenets of these religions per se, but I definitely try to study them. So when you're speaking of the Quran, you're speaking of the Quran of Mecca versus the the Islamic Quran versus the Circle 7 Quran. If I'm looking at that correct, and you're talking about the Quran that proclaims the Prophet Muhammad as the prophet. If that's the one you're talking about, then yeah, I have read that one as well. The Quran is a very interesting book. Okay. Very, very, I tell anybody who is from the Western thinking of religion, like if you're a Christian or Jewish or any of that, like if you don't read the Quran as part of that whole sequence of books, then you are missing out in your religious understanding from that perspective, because the Quran has a lot of vital information dealing with what we call Abrahamic religions. Okay. So, I mean, definitely, it does, just like the Bible. I'm not here to condone any of these things, but I'm not a prognosticator for these religions per se. But you should read these books. I definitely believe that. Judah is a Jew and not a religion. Well, from what I understand, what I'm saying is Judaism, as we know it today, when we study Hebrew Israelite, or you want to say Hebrew Israelite, if you want to look at being a Hebrew or Habaru or whatever you want to call that, y'all on my platform, I'm usually like watching other people's platform. Y'all really like to get technical and not really like I think the main thing that we try to do is we want to be able to communicate with each other, so people understand what we're saying versus what is technically what you think is right or wrong. So when I'm saying Judaism, I'm talking about Hebrew Israelite, okay, or whatever you want to call that particular science of religion. That's all I'm meaning. So I'm not trying to get that way. Okay, brother, I hear you, man. You're king of the Jews. Yes, America has been referred to as Al-Maghrib, and you are correct. I mean, if you study Taj Tariq Bey, if any of y'all study Taj Tariq, man, study Taj. More science, like you talking about. If you're talking about Al-Maghrib, or it's been called Al-Marak. Those are Islamic terms. Islam played a major part in African history when they came in, when they came into the region. A lot of Arabs come into Africa. They came into North Africa, then they went into West Africa. They also went into Eastern Africa, and they also enslaved a lot of Africans as well that we don't really talk about. But these people, these Arabs came into Africa. So, I mean, there's a lot of African history that includes Africa. Okay. But the fact that, hold on. I'm on the air.
I know. I was about to grab you.
Okay, go ahead. But so, when we talk about Islam, I'm not here to bash Islam. I'm not here to bash any of that, but I mean, like, Islam does play a part in African history. It does play a part in world history. That the Arabs and Islam did do a lot of things for the world. They came over here. They sailed the seas. They kind of picked up where the Greeks and the Africans had left off before Rome and Christianity and what we call Catholicism. Once Catholicism brought them into the Dark Ages, that's when you start to see a rise, or you start to see the Islamic presence dominant, and they kind of kept things going. Okay, so this brother got something to say, right? No, they didn't. Stop all the fraud. Okay, now it's fraud. Now, I ain't saying nothing about your stuff, but you up here talking about let me just show you guys what he say. He say, this is now if I'm capping, right? This is what the brother said on here. He says that I am king of the Jews. Well, what the heck are you talking about? Okay. So I mean, like, come on, dude. Like, let's not do that, man. Like, not like, why do we have to come? Like, why do we get online and we start going at people and attacking them? Like, we wouldn't even talk to our people. We would have way more respect for somebody when we was face to face with them. But because we online, y'all, and this is what we do. This is part of the wake-up call. Like, I don't have to agree with you on my platform. Okay. I don't know where you studied or where you studied. Okay. But if you got information to talk about, then do that. But don't go against me and say, oh, that's fraud, blah, blah, blah. All I need you to do is show and prove, because I learn. If I'm saying something, then show and prove, brother. Show and prove. That's all I'm saying. But for you to sit there and make all these, I mean, like, you the one looking foolish. I'm the king of the Jews. Okay. Jacob Mormon. I mean, like, come on, man. I'm just saying. Let's keep it. Okay. They talk about Tariq. And it's funny you say something about Tariq, that I was watching a video today about Tariq. It was another Moor. I forgot the Moor's name, but he was saying that Tariq was a fraud. And he was trying to say this and that. Now, show me where Tariq is a fraud. Now, okay, before you show me that he's a fraud, I will say this, okay? I will say this, brother, that the one thing the brother said was that Taj Tariq claims to be a grand sheik, right? And it was on there. He was on there with Sabir Bey. The brother was on there with Sabir Bey. You know, Sabir Bey, was making these points like that don't mean nothing. He didn't care about that. Now, the only thing I can say is, if you are claiming to be a grand sheik and you're not, that is a fraudulent statement. Okay, I will say that. But the information, a lot of the information that Taj Tariq brings to the table, a lot of that stuff checks out. And that's all I'm saying, is that we have to do our due diligence when we study it. Now, from my understanding, not every single person that I have ever heard say something is not always got 100% information correct. Okay, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know anybody that's got 100% correct, pure information. We're all studying. There may be some discrepancies with some of the stuff. You see what I'm saying? Hey, so my dude was like, hey, my dude, he like, bruh, folks too woke, right? And you know what I'm saying? So like, that's the thing. A lot of brothers are too woke. Like, they know too much information. And that's my whole point. We can get online, and there's a lot of information that comes before us. We are bombarded with information all day. And if you really haven't learned or know, then you're going to fall for it. It's just like a person who ain't studied, they go to jail and they start learning. So they come out, they like, oh, I know this and that. They know some stuff, but it's because they didn't know anything. So something to them makes sense and start going with it. Okay. But all I'm saying for us is that we got to cross-reference information. Okay. We have to cross-reference this information because like my dude, like I'm putting all his information up because I want y'all to see where we at. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm saying. Like, check, I mean, just see what my man writing. Like, you are proving and saying you're proving it. It's like you just saying stuff out here, right? Like almost like a bot or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I feel like you're not really having you just want to say what you want to say and then say everybody else is lying if they don't agree with what you're saying. And like I said, I need proof. Show me some books. Show me where you've read this information. Give us a link to where we can go to find this information. Because other than that, you're just talking. You understand what I'm saying? You're just talking. And the problem with us is that that's what we do. We're waking up, but we're waking up with a lot of misguided information. And I don't even know what this information really going to do or benefit us. You know what I'm saying? To say it's in the blood, you got to be able to show that. Because, I mean, you have to show where it's in the blood. You can't just say it's in the blood. How can you prove that? How can you prove it? Like when you say stuff like that, those are cop. I mean, those are cop out answers, bro. Like, you're not really giving me a full understanding of what you're saying. It's in the blood. So I gotta just take you for your word. It's in the blood. That's not what we do here. Like, if we are scholars and we need to research, we need to have reference to this. Show us where we reference this. Show us where this come from. You know, like I could say that I'm king of the Moors and that, you know, my bloodline runs deep from Mauritania. I can say that with nothing to prove. If it's in the blood, then show the DNA. I guarantee that you're going to say DNA is a fraud because anything that could be used to try to show proof of something, you're not going to show it. That's the problem. That's the problem. You have birth cards. I mean, so what I'm saying to you, brother, is for us as melanated people to be able to show us these things, show us where we can go and find this stuff. Show the people where you can find this information. Show us how to use our bloodline to get it. Show us with the birth cards, the birth records. Show us how to use the birth records. And if your birth records really show that, then show us the birth records. Show us where we can look at your stuff from the birth records. Because I don't know you. Like, you know, I don't know you as a person, and I don't know, you know, any of these things about you. So, you know, I mean, like, look, man, I need something else. Stop telling me this stuff. This ain't telling me nothing. You got to show me who you are. I don't even know your name. You know, like you got your avatar name up here and whatnot, but we don't even know you, man. And so this is what I'm saying, y'all. Like, whoever, you know, I know you've been on here before. Like I said, man, if you guys are able to show these things that we talk about, that's going to help our people wake up. It's to actually show them what we call receipts on this information. Because if not, it's misleading or misguiding. Okay. You know, whatever your issue is with Taj, I mean, that's on you. I don't really know. Like I said, I've studied and read. I mean, I've studied Taj's information. A lot of what Taj Tariq got to say does make sense. It does cross-reference back to something, especially the law, which is something that we also need to get into and learn as well. Okay. So let me ask you this. You say that we all you guys come from our fam. Oh, okay. And then you say, what is your last name? I can tell by the names. Okay, so are you saying that the names that we have over here are our original names? Because a lot of these names come from the slave owners. I ain't say all the names, so don't sit there. But a lot of these names come from slave owners. So for us to be able to back our names back, it's hard to do. And that's what I'm saying. Anything before 1619, it seems like it is hard to find. You see what I'm saying? Well, brother, like I said, if you want to show us these things, then I mean, like I said, it's all about showing and proving to show us, okay? If you're trying to really liberate and wake us up, then one of the things to help wake the people up is to show them the information, because they have been led by what people say for hundreds of years. They have not, like most of us, you know, are Christian, taxpayer, law-abiding citizens, all these things just based off of what we've been told. Nobody studies anything. You know, everybody just practices the religion and the holidays. They just kind of go on by themselves. So it's really hard to say what, you know, our people need information. Our people need facts. Our people need references. Okay. Would you say it says, and our names? No, they don't. White people did not even have a surname. Okay. So you're telling me that the name Brown or any of those names, Europeans didn't have them. So if I go to Europe now, they don't have surnames. And you're telling me that in 1600s that Albions did not have surnames. I say false. That is a false statement. Prove it wrong. Prove me that in the 1700s that they did not have a surname. Prove me wrong. If you can't prove it wrong, then leave it alone. If you can't show me a reference to in the 1600s, 1700s. So I'm not talking about 1200s, 1100, 900, okay? Because Albions didn't have surnames back in the day. But by the time that you see the indentured servitude and slavery going on here in Americas, they had last names. They took their last names. That's what they had. They took their last names and started passing them down after around 1500s. Now, if you told me that the Moors helped them get their surnames, I could go with that. But that's not what you said. You said that they didn't have no name. And that the people over here had names like Brown and all that, when they don't even have them names themselves now. Like, you don't see Africans with those names. Africans have a whole different type of name. The Native Americans, whole different type of names. They don't have those type of names here. All right, bro. Okay. Like, I'm done with my brother. I'm done with Percy Mormon as far as like having a reasonable conversation, because like I said, he just, and this is what I'm saying about us brothers, man. We gotta do better. We gotta be able to show and prove these things. Like, what books can we show this? Like, what books do we have? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. If we as melanated people are going to wake up, then we need to study. We can't just go with the first person that says something. Okay? From what I just saw, England started using surnames in 1066. Thank you, sister. Let me throw this up. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we got information that's here for us. In this day and age, melanated people have the advantage of looking up a lot of information to learn, to study. A lot of this information has been hidden from us. Now that the information is being pushed out there, they're trying to like overflow us with information so that we can't tell what's real and what's not. Okay, and that's the problem. They know that the information's out there now, so they are flooding us, y'all, with way more information, so that we don't know what's right from wrong. Now, I know she said from 10. I know you meant 1066. You got correction. The correction 1066 on it. So what I'm saying is, the Europeans were using surnames, and when they came over here, they had surnames. Period. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. The fallacy go on with our people, man, and it's time. It's really time for us to come. I know you hear this, and this is not cliche. I mean, we got to come together. But what I'm saying is that we have to. We gotta start coming correct with this information, because we came through, like, okay, when I came through the 90s, right, I came up on a lot of knowledge. Now, I came up on like brothers like Phil Valentine, and brothers like that, right? Metaphysics, okay, Bobby Hemmett, okay, all of them, which I have nothing to say negative against them. Now, I know some brothers who they came up on the same information I did, and if I got them on live, man, they probably would, like, they have a big problem with them brothers, because they call them pseudoscientists. I'm not necessarily calling Phil Valentine and all them brothers pseudoscientists, because a lot of what they said, a lot of the things that Phil was talking about, most of the stuff I will go back and look at it. I will go research it. A lot of stuff that Phil Valentine was talking about back then, he would have books that you could reference the information. So what I'm saying today is today's people that's coming and becoming woke are not really studying. They're basically, I mean, like, they're going on TikTok and YouTube, right? Like we on here now. They on TikTok, YouTube, and they are, saying stuff that they heard or read. Now check it. There is a lot of information on, like I said, on TikTok and other forums, but there's a lot of misinformation. And that's all I'm trying to get us to understand. There is a lot of misinformation out here in the cyber world. And for us to be woke, we have to decipher. We have to go through this information to find what is credible and what is not. It's like I went to school and This one of the things that you learn in school is to find credible evidence, to cross-reference this evidence. Okay? To study this stuff. So when you go to school, they teach you how to do this. Now, the thing with school is they still try to gear you into something. But one of the things that you do learn is you learn how to study. You learn how to reference, cross-reference. You learn to look at other material to see if it makes sense from that angle as well. What I am saying in our community is that we have a lot of so-called master teachers that have not done the real research. And they're giving us a lot of information that you cannot reference anywhere else. Even when they talk about one thing that we can, one more subject matter that we talk about, aliens. Okay, we can talk about aliens. So if a brother come on here and say that they from Pleiades, or they are from Sirius B, or some of the thing of that nature, okay, they really are not being able to they really can't substantiate that claim. It's very difficult to prove that type of information. So when you start talking about these things, you better have something to show that you really know what you're talking about in order to convince somebody. Like for me personally, like I said, I've been studying for a long time, and this ain't like, I'm not bragging. This is just facts. Like I've been studying. I opened my first book on Malcolm X in '93. I got a sister online, Sister Phyllis. She know when she met me, I was on some stuff back then that she probably didn't agree with or anything, right? So what I'm saying is, I have been looking and studying this stuff for 30 years, okay? And through my studying, I have had to change my understanding and my viewpoints, because some of the stuff that I learned could not be substantiated. And even when I deal with, and so when I come and take that same understanding of knowledge and I apply it to each group of people that, what are you doing, man? Each group of people that I study with, I bring that study science with me. So even like with the Moors, I claim to be a Moor, and I understand Moor science, but there's things in Moor science that can't be substantiated, that I've asked. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like I always tell everyone and everybody that's watching this and that will watch this, you do not want to be stuck on one level of thinking. We have to continue to learn. You can't get stuck in being a Hebrew Israelite and then that's it. And so now everything else has been demonized, or you become deaf to that information. You can't do that. You have to study that science and then move on to the next level of science. That's the age we in. The age that we left, you could study one thing. You could study one thing, right? You could say, 2, 3, 4, 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, maybe you study one science, you become a master at it, you stay in it for the rest of your life. Okay, but we're in the age now where there's so much knowledge and information that it's not advisable to be stuck in just one religious thought. So if you are, I don't want to pick on the Christians, but because we're always picking on them. But let's say if you are Islamic or Muslim, and that's all you study, and everything that you do and based on is based off of just what you know about the Quran, then I'm gonna say you got to study some other stuff. You can't stay stuck in just the Quran. Now, don't get me wrong. You can stay stuck if you want to, but what I am saying is, as in enlightening beings, beings that are bearer of light and enlightened, those enlightened beings, they have studied way more than what we have. Okay, even your leaders, like say for example, let's say the Nation of Islam, right? The Nation of Islam is under the tutelage or under the guide of Farrakhan. Now, whether you like Farrakhan or not, okay, whether you think he's a fraud or not, I am not here to condemn Farrakhan on that. What I'm here to say is that if you study Farrakhan and you listen to Farrakhan, you can see that Farrakhan has studied a various amount of information, that he hasn't just studied Nation of Islam, and he hasn't just studied what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Okay, Farrakhan has studied. Farrakhan has studied various religious information. You can tell by how versed Farrakhan is in his speaking. He's not the only one. I mean, if you look at Noble Drew Ali, he studied Islam. He studied, like different various type of Islam. He studied really like Masonic stuff. I'm not saying he was a Mason for all the Moors out there, but I'm saying that he studied, and you can tell that his information is not just from one source of information. And so what I'm saying is, we are in the age that now the leaders are much like we have to become those leaders. Okay, and that's what I'm saying. In this age, we are no longer just from a student perspective where we're studying one thing. We have to become a master and study as a student all the things. It's like Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee studied several different forms of martial art to come up with his one form of martial art. So what I'm saying to us as people to wake up, we have to study various points of information, because I came out, like me personally, I come out of Christianity. I come out of Afrocentricity. I come out of Islam. Okay. I come out of these various things. I'll study and read, from Hinduism. I will study, any of these religious books to try to get an understanding of certain spiritual information. We study the Circle 7 Quran. Okay. Because the thing about it is, the more that you learn and understand from outside sources, when you start to read those religious texts, they make more sense. You have a better understanding of these things when you have studied various things. Your mind will begin to open up these words and open up verses and be able to understand them better than you ever had. That's because you have a lot more understanding to pull from. You have a lot more information to pull from to get it. You understand? So being woke today, it means that you are going to study. It means that you are going to research, cross-reference, and study your butt off. Noble Drew Ali said, study thyself, and then when you're done, study more. Study yourself again. You have to really go in and study yourself. You have to study you have to study your surroundings. You have to study nature. You have to study and become a scholar to understand these things. And then from that point, we teach our people. Okay. But a lot of the information that we've had is not substantiated. Okay. It's not substantiated. Like, if you don't know of nothing, if you don't know nothing, and the brother from the Nation of Islam, he comes up to you, he know more than you. So now he get to talking, and you can't really argue with him anyway because he has more knowledge than you do. So now you kind of take on what he's doing. Now you're going to take in what he's saying and not really have enough information to really know if he's true or not. What do our people do? Our melanated people, they take our people for their word, and that's it. I mean, what do you think you do when you go to church? You go to church, you listen to the ministers. You don't go back and read the Bible. You don't even go read the Bible. Most of these Christians don't even read the Bible. They have no idea. They open it to Psalms or something, and they think that that's it. They think the power comes out the book, emanates out the book. So most of these people haven't read the Bible or read any of that stuff. They only are going by the minister because they trust the minister to be the knowledgeable one. And they're students, and they're just soaking in with the information. So once they wake up, they tend to still do the same thing. Like they'll hear somebody from the Nation of Islam talking. They'll bring them into some new knowledge, and then they'll just start following the Nation of Islam. Now, I'm not saying that as in a negative way to say, hey, it's wrong to be in the Nation of Islam. That's not my point. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you stop there, you say, oh, okay, I'm with the Nation of Islam, and they got the knowledge, and I'm just going to take what they're saying, then you still haven't woke up. You still haven't woke up. You think you woke up, but all you've done is opened your eyes, but you haven't truly focused in. Like the first thing you do when you wake up is kind of like everything is kind of blurry. You're making sure you are where you're supposed to be. When we wake up, we are blurry, we're foggy. When we're waking up as melanated people in this world, we are in a brain fog. So we got to do better than that. Once you wake up, once you've been awake for some time, you got to start searching. You got to start reading. Okay. One of the books, like you got to go to the bookstore. You got to sit in the bookstore. I know that sounds old. It sounds cliche, but as an old school person, I feel like going in there and start. That's your first step. They don't have everything in the bookstore, but they do have something in the bookstore that's not necessarily what you know. So go to the bookstore. When you're on TikTok from now on, I want y'all to guarantee and promise me this. When you're on TikTok, take notes. Take notes. Cross-reference that on the internet. Once you cross-reference that on the internet, find books on that information. Once you find those books, read and get the context of the author. Find out the context of what the author is speaking. Okay? Example. When we read certain books, like for example, in the 90s, start studying the Illuminati. Okay. We hearing the Illuminati got my mind, soul, and my body. Secret society trying to keep their eye on me. We heard that in the 90s. I started reading on Illuminati. All the Illuminati information that I read predominantly came from a Christian. So the information that I was getting was Christian minded. So I'm getting a slanted perception of what the Illuminati was based on these scholars. How could I tell these were scholars that were Christian? A lot of them always dictated what the Bible said. They dictated to us what. So what I'm saying is, it's going to take a lot of due diligence in us for us to come out of this fog that we're in, and to come out of this pre-notion that we just following people, to come out of this sheeple mentality. For us to come out of this sheeple mentality, we got to stop being sheep, y'all. We got to start doing the work. Okay? We got to start doing the work. Appreciate y'all. I hope like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep doing more videos. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get our master elder on today. I'm going to have to try to connect with him later. Hopefully we can do a live tomorrow and I can have him on. Like tonight, I kind of just went in improvising. We had a good discussion. I hope you guys, take into heed what I'm saying. And, we keep doing this. But I'm going to jump off of here and finish off my night. Peace and love to everybody. And we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Tutanana.